Today I'm going to be reviewing the Espro tamper for you. There's the little logo, upside down. And what's special about this guy is that, well, let's backtrack here. If you're just getting into espresso, you know that you're supposed to be aiming for about 30 pounds of pressure in your tamp. So what you could do to, well, how do you know what 30 pounds of pressure is? I mean, that's kind of an arbitrary number if you haven't been making espresso for a while. So what you could do is get something like a bathroom scale and put it on your kitchen table and then do your tamping on top of it and aim for 30 pounds. Unfortunately, that is A, disgusting in some people's minds, and B, not very efficient, and C, once you get to 30 pounds, you might go over or under. It's not very definitive that once you get to 30, you release. So why this tamper is special is that it takes that guesswork out of there for you. So it's calibrated to the point that when you tamp down 30 pounds of pressure, hear that? Clicks. So this little gap here is kind of where that functionality takes place. The handle itself goes down towards the tamping base and makes a click. So I really like this because I'm not very good at tamping. I don't have a trained barista arm. And when I was just starting to make espresso, I never knew if I was getting it right. So this took that guesswork out of the picture and makes it so I don't have to account for the tamping variable, at least not as much. I still have to consider technique and make sure that I tamp evenly, and I still have to make sure that the ground coffee is distributed evenly in the filter basket, but at least I've got the tamping pressure down, and that will allow me to dial in my grinder more quickly because I'll know, well, hey, I'm not making a mistake with my tamping pressure at least. So what do I like and dislike about this tamper before I go and demo it for you? Well, I like everything that I just discussed is that it makes it much easier. It fits my filter basket, which is obviously an essential. If you're going to invest in a tamper, you don't want one that doesn't fit into your filter basket. I like that it's nice and solid. You know it's not cheap. And the materials are great. I mean, it's stainless steel base, kind of what you would want in a tamper, and there's no plastic involved. I really can't tell if this is metal. I think this is metal. So an all metal tamper, very solid. What I dislike is the price. I think that for roughly $100, or maybe I got it for $90, but that's, I know, a lot more expensive than anybody would really expect of a tamper. And I understand where people are coming from, but again, if it leads to wasting less coffee, I think it's a good investment, and I've used it hundreds of times now and it's still holding up that calibration. Another thing I would say, not necessarily a con, but a feature that I would like for this tamper to have is adjustable tamping pressure calibration. So say that I was trying to test out 40 pounds of pressure versus 30. It'd be cool if you could maybe make some adjustment to the tamper so you can aim for a different tamping pressure, or on the other side of the coin, maybe 20 pounds of pressure. So I don't know if something like this exists out there, but if the Espro could do that, I think it would be even better than it already is. But as it stands, 30 pounds is industry standard, so I'm satisfied with that. And then they do have a convex base option. I know some people tend to like this better. It would be cool if you could maybe swap out a flat base for a convex base so you can test whether there's an effect on your espresso or not. I like customization, so being kind of locked into something isn't necessarily my favorite, because coffee is all about experimentation. So I think that's enough for now with the overview of the Espro. Let's get into an actual demo and then I'll pull a shot. Okay, so I think I've distributed my coffee somewhat evenly. And now that that step's out of the way, I can get into the actual tamping. So you want it on a flat surface. You want to wiggle it down so the tamper is even. Sorry. What I mean by even, it shouldn't be tilting to one side more than another. And then I'll get my fingers down at the base of the handle and tamp. So then once I release, I'm just going to give it about a 180-degree turn, polish off the top, and we've got a nicely tamped puck ready for brewing. So I'm going to pull that shot now so you can see what it looks like. And of course, the shot won't be 100% attributed to the tamp, but it certainly helps to have a nice tamper like the Espro. Yeah, let me just get that logo in there one more time. The Espro for your espresso. All right, here we go from the shot cam. Okay, first shot came out way too fast, so I adjusted the grind. Here is take 2 from the shot can. Already looking better. And see, that's the great thing about this tamper, is that you don't have to worry too much about how you're tamping. You could focus on the more important variables like grind. So there's the final shot. It tastes great. Very sweet. Not too sour, just as I like it. So wrapping things up here, I pulled a great shot thanks to my tamper. No, not exclusively, but it definitely helped because, as you saw from that first shot, it was too fast. So I wasn't worrying about, well, did I screw up my tamping job? I just did the same thing with the tamping pressure because I had this calibrated click. And then I adjusted my grinder to a finer setting, and it ended up being the right setting because I pulled it at the same time that I'm normally trying to shoot for, around 30 seconds for 2 ounces. So I highly recommend this if you don't want to use a bathroom scale and have the means to drop $90 on a tamper. But if you don't, which is totally understandable, I would just start with a solid tamper. Make sure that it's metal, heavy, and of course fits your pour filter or your filter basket, because if it doesn't, then you're gonna have some channeling going on. And that, guys, is a wrap.